The so Dovah, we all know that every special day by the Rebbe, by anything that had to do with his parents, was very, very choshev, very special, unique. Just to share, I'm sure you know a few interesting things. Rabbi Zellickson told me that the last time Rabbi from Philadelphia, the famous Rav, Rabbi Yalis, used to come to see the Rebbe every single Chol Hamoed, especially Pesach. And I remember one year I was a bocher then in the Mems, and he came out and he said that the Rebbe said that they should remind everyone that there's a mitzvah to drink a revius yayin every single day of Chol Hamoed. He should give over to the Olam, because there's a mitzvah from Samachta b'chagecha ein simcha el b'yayin. Anyway, the last time that he came was Tov Shem Mem Ches, and they heard that the first thing the Rebbe told him was as heint idem tatens 110 Yemeledes. It was a day right away. The Rebbe said that it was the Rebbe's father was born Chai Nissen Tofresh Lamed Ches, and this was Tov Shem Mem Ches 110 years later. And right away, the first thing the Rebbe tells him, Ados Idem Tatens, the 110th birthday. We see how choshev it was, every milestone. Another interesting thing, also I heard from Rabbi Zellickson, that the first time after Tov Shem Lamed Ches, that the Rebbe got up a Fabrengen, which was a Dove Nodir in those years, but from Tov Shem Lamed Ches, the whole year he didn't. And Tov Shem Lamed Tes, the first time that the Rebbe did stand up by Fabrengen, was the Hascholas of 100 years of Rebbe Chana's Yemeledes, was Chof Ches Tevis. So I just want to start off with a few interesting stories that I heard over the years, but then we'll get to an Inyan to share with you some beautiful things from the Rebbe's father. So over the years, I heard a few interesting stories I would like to share with you. The kibbud of aim that the Rebbe had is nicht zu glauben. And every single day that the Rebbe would go visit his mother, Rebbe Chana. So Rabbi Shlomo Kunin, the head shliach from California, he told me this story, what happened with him. He said that in Tov Shem Chav Dalet, when he was going out for Shidduch, and so, after, he met, and everything was mitzidom, they wanted to ask the Rebbe's bracha to finalize the Shidduch. So it looks like he came more in the afternoon, late afternoon, and he gave an atzettel to Rabbi Chodakov. And Rabbi Chodakov said, I'm going into the Rebbe, I'll give him the zettel. And the Riley was sitting in Zal. Time went by, he was still in the Rebbe's office, whatever, and Rabbi Chodakov is waiting for Rabbi Chodakov to call him to get the final answer, Haskama for the Shidduch. And it was already 6:30. All of a sudden, a bocher tells him that the phone, the payphone, used to be a telephone right in front of David Raska's office over there. There used to be a telephone, a payphone. He said, someone's calling you. So he went. Who was it? This was his aunt. His aunt called. And maybe it was his great aunt. And she said, and this is what she said, Shleimer, you became a chosen and you don't even call me to say Mazel Tov? And he tells his aunt that we're working on a shidduch, but I didn't get my answer yet. And how do you know? So he says, what do you mean? Rebbe Chana just called me. What happened was like this. the Rebbe Chodek goes in by the Rebbe. The Rebbe answered on the shidduch. A lot of other things that Rebbe Chodek had to take care of. And that time, right afterwards, the Rebbe went to see his mother. Rebbe Zechana. The first thing the Rebbe said, as soon as he came in, I said, "Oh, Mazel Tov für Shtetl." In Stott, then he said, "Schlimme Kunde gewann a Kalle mit Rav Lokshon's Tochter." And the Rebbe was there, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And then the Rebbe left. As soon as the Rebbetzin knew Shleime's aunt, so right away, the Rebbetzin kind of called her and says, "Oh, Mazel Tov for Shleime gewann a Chosen." And the aunt played along, and she, so upon him, he just told me that how did he get a skama from the Rebbe on the Shidduch was not through the regular channels of Rebbe Chodakov. This came through the Pseudo Teva that the Rebbe wanted to give over to Rebbe Zechana. And constantly we see that he always wanted to bring her whatever it should be Pseudo Tevas. Another interesting thing that I heard from Rabbi Yisrael Lapkovsky, he's the Mashgiach in the Yeshiva 770. So he told me that he came to 770 for Tishrei Tovshin Chov Beis. And he learned Tovshin Chov Beis, Tovshin Chov Gimel. And this story happened in Tovshin Chov Dalet, 1964. So, Tainus Esther, Rabbi David Raskin, came over to him and said, that I go to read the Megillah for Rebbe Zechana, and I need a bocha to come with me because, there's people that come, this one wants to Vinsha Veilchem Purim, other people want to give a Shalach Mones. So I need a bocha, we're going to be in one room, but I need someone by the door, if someone knocks, whatever, that to send them away, tell them to come back later, or they shouldn't disturb. Would you want to come? He offered it. So he said he was a shy bocha. He wasn't from these Lebedik Chevra. But he said, okay. So he came. They read the Megillah. The Raski read the Megillah for Rebbe Zechana. Afterwards, Rebbe Zechana asks him, "Wie heißt du? What's your name?" And he said, "I'm Saul Bakovsky." So then she says these words. Du bist ein Sohn von Nochem? Are you the son of Nochem? He was with us in Yekaterinoslav in the 30s. It's known there was a yeshiva there that a branch which was a few years in Yekaterinoslav, and he was in charge of Nochem Lavkovsky was in charge of the Gashmistik of the yeshiva, and the Rebbe's father would help him a lot. And because of that, he would be very often he would come to the house. So the Rebbetzin said that, so they made acquaintance. Then the Rebbetzin said these words. Es interessante, she said, Punkt Nachten bei Nacht, hab gerett mit mein Sohn. Just last night, when the Rebbe came to visit, I spoke to him. The name came up during the conversation about this Rav Nochem Lavkovsky, who helped us a lot in Yekaterinoslav. So, Apipashtis, the Rebbe took that opportunity that the Rebbe knew that Dov Draskin is going over, and he wanted to make always constantly liven up situations and bring conversations. And Apipashtis, the Rebbe gave over, maybe to Rabbi Chodakov, whatever, to tell David Raskin to take this Lapkovsky to the house. And always constantly we see how the Rebbe didn't lose an opportunity to how to bring simcha, or people that knew her, helped her, to always constantly bring good conversations. I want to start off now to go into the real program is really for Bochrim over here, for the Yeshivas Tochat Mimim. And recently, I heard a beautiful, beautiful story. I'll tell you, I was looking for the background of the story for many years. And I'll tell you what happened. I saw a letter, a Ksav Yad letter. Actually, it was like a Yaman, a diary, from a Yid in Crown Heights. I remember him. He's not living anymore. His name was Rabbi Sperlin. And there's a Shliach Pesach Sperlin in Montreal. This was his grandfather. So he writes that there was a time that he was also collecting money for the yeshiva, for the Chutmimim, and he was collecting money for the Chutmimim. And the Rebbe's father helped him once. And the Rebbe's father he went up to the shul, one of the shuls, Yakatinislav, and he gave a drosha about HaChodesh HaZelechem, HaCheresh HaYelibam. And he doesn't write what the drosha was all about. And he spoke about the mile of Tochet Mimim. And I always was curious to know what that word was. So recently, one of his grandchildren told me, Rabbi Sperlin's grandchildren, Rabbi Zusha Wilhelm, that he remembers it. He told him exactly what the word was. And not only that, but he said his grandfather once sat down, Rabbi Sperlin once wrote, and he wrote the whole word to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe answered him very, very varim, and the skabel betach, and the Rebbe wrote befrat that you shared with me a Torah from my father. So I want to share with you what that word was. And we're talking about Tomchet Mimim. It also has to do a little bit, we're coming from Shavuos. In Shavuos, we all know the Gemara that Kulal Memoidim, that in Shavuos, the Be'inin Lechem, as we'll soon speak. So let me show what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, I'm going to read it to you. This is in Shabbos, Daf Kuf Mem Zayin Omid Beis. And the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says, Omar Rab Chelboy. Rab Chelboy says, Chamre di Prugaise, the wine from the city called Prugaise, Umaye de Mjumses, and the waters of the Mjumses. So it says the people over there, they used to drink a lot of wine, and they used to have bathing and all sorts of bodily enjoyments, you know. Kipchu Aseres Hashvotim Be'Yisrael. This is what happened by the 10 tribes. We know 10 tribes got lost. So the Gemara says that they lost a little, they got so indulged in Gashmistic enjoyment that is what tore them away from Klal Yisrael, unfortunately. Then the Gemara said like this, Rabbi Lezer ben Aroch, Ikla Lohasa. Rabbi Lezer ben Aroch, he once came to Progaisa and the Mjumsus. Imshich Basraya, he was drawn towards them, and he also drank the wine and enjoyed from their types of waters. And Rashi says, Hayayin Vorechitza, the wine and also their washing and bathing. So the Gemara says, Iker Talmudei, the learning from Rabbi Lezer ben Aroch was like taken away from him to a certain extent. Ki hoda ose, after he came back, kom lemikre besifre. So he wanted to learn in the psukim. So boy lemikre, he wanted to read the pasuk HaChodesh HaZelechem. It's a pasuk in Parshas Boy, the mitzvah from Kiddush HaChodesh, this month of Nisan, HaChodesh HaZelechem. Omar, he changed a few letters that came out of his mouth. HaCheresh Hoya Libam. Simple meaning is your heart became deaf. That means you lost a little bit the connection to Torah. So instead of the Dalet of HaChodesh, he read HaCheresh, changed to Aresh. Instead of Hazeh, it said Hoya. Instead of Lachem, it said Libam. The Chof turned into a base. So the Gemara just continues. Boye Rabbon Rachme Oleh, his friends, the Rabbonon, they davened for him. V'hoda Talmude, and his learning came back. So the Rebbe's father explained that he spoke the Baal of Tochet Mimim, and he said that people b'chlal, he said there's three sugim of Yidden. He said when you come to want to make a fundraiser for yeshiva, especially Tochatvimim, he said there's three types of Jews. One Jew, a cheresh, he's deaf. He doesn't listen. He doesn't comprehend. Another type of Jew says, Torah, yeah, yeshivas, hoya, this was something in the past, but it's not relevant today. You know, from the Alter Shtetlach. And then others, he said, a little finer people, they hear you, and they like what the yeshiva is all about, and they appreciate the learning, but leave them. They sympathize with you. The most that they'll do, they'll tell you a nice word, but they keep their feelings in their heart. But it doesn't come to any ma'aseh b'pearl, doesn't come to any actuality. Then for the Rebbe's father continued, he said, the mile of Tochatvim you should know, by them is hachodesh azalechem. Every single thing that they learn, every day, it's kachadoshim. It's a chodesh, a chodosh. It's like new. They learn everything with achayis. Also, it's not something hoyo that was in the past. No, everything that they learn is hazeh. Mare vetzboy voimezeh. It relates to him, how he should incorporate and digest and relate what he's learning to his own personal life. Hazeh. And this is also what it says, lachem. It's not just in the heart, lachem, like the Gemara says in Shavuos, that it comes down in ma'aseh b'poel in his actual work every single day, that he brings it down and relates it to his ma'aseh. So this is the word that the Rebbe's father said that Shabbos, that time of the fundraising, that the Ma'al Tochatvimim is that they have everything's by them a tremendous chayis. It's chodosh. It's not something that the Eibishter said years ago. No, every single day it's new. It's azeh. It's something that it's begoli by them. It's not something that they only keep in their heart. And it's not hoya and it's lachem. Comes down to ma'aseh b'poel. Now I want to go to a very interesting thing that I heard from Rabbi Shapiro, and this has to do with, we're going to share now a biur from the Rebbe's father. The Rabbi Shapiro told me, and Aga, by the way, these who learn the Torah, this has to do a little bit with the Torah of this week. We're now, today is Yud Aleph Sivan, and I'll say again L'chaim. We could just imagine, as you do what says in Svarim, that the day of a person's chasana is the Eibishter, gives him every chassan knew that when the Rebbe gives up a bracha for the chasana, it's negay to everything that's going to happen in his lifetime. All his children, v'chulu, his entire parnosa, everything. So we could just imagine that what kind of simcha it was, Lamaila, going to 120 years ago, when they knew that this chasna, the Eibishter knew, Pamal Yishamayla knew, that from this zivig, from the Rebbe's father and Rebbe Sachana, from them will come out, they'll be the ones that will be zoiche, to be mamshech the Rebbe here lamata, and the revolution that the Rebbe made. So just imagine what kind of simcha was Lamaila. So there's no question that by us, we look back at what happened these 120 years. There's no suffix that we should verbring today, say L'chaim today, and befrat we should chazer a inyan from the Rebbe's father. So anyways, L'chaim, L'chaim, L'chaim. So I wanted to share with you, I heard from Rabbi Shapiro when I was a shlichus in Miami, and it's known to his Zayda, Rab Zalman Valenkin, Rab Shnei Zalman Valenkin, taught the Rebbe's father. If taught the Rebbe, he was the Rebbe's Malamed, handpicked by the Rebbe's father, and he heard many things he heard over the years. So Rabbi Shapiro told me that there's an interessante Medrash Plia, and later I saw that I think that Tzemach Tzedek brings it down. The Rebbe has similar Bil Kutosiches, but he said that he heard it from the Rebbe's father. So the Medrash Plia goes like this: that somebody asked a Tana, whatever, he asked these words: Ma Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the name of the Eibishter? So Amalei, he answered him, Rachmona liebe boy. The Eibishter wants you should do a mitzvah, you should do it with the hearts. It sounds a little, we'll soon get to the beer, but this is the Medrash Plia. Ma Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amalei tells him, he answered him, Rachmona liebe boy. Then comes the next question. Umipnei ma kulam zdurois v'zu hafucha. How come all of them are in order and this is like backwards? Hafucha. Amalei told him, mipnei, because shecheisomoy shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emes. Because the signature of the Eibishter in Yerushalmi is emes. Sounds like mamish has a nicht geklept, nicht gekashet, nicht geteretz. So somebody asked this pshat to the Rebbe's father, and the Rebbe's father answered him like this. He asked him, "What's the Eibishter's name?" So we all know that the Eibishter's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. So just to give a short akdome, I'm not going to go into all the details why. But the Alter Rebbe, like I said before, in the Kutah this week, he mentions this in 2 lines in Parshas Nosoi. So we all know that is when you have what's called a milui. And the Rebbe once said by Fabrengen that there's what's called oisis hamachshove and oisis hadibur. Ledugme. When somebody wants to think the letter Aleph in his mind, so he thinks the tziyur of Aleph, the how it's written, how it looks. That's it. So he has just one letter in his machshava. But when you say it b'dibur, you have to add a lamed nafei, Aleph. You don't say that's not Aleph. So when you say it b'dibur, other letters come out b'gilui. That's called milui. Milui means the letters that fill in order to express the letter. So it explains the Chassidus that there is the letter that's for itself, and then there's the letter that's mashpia on others. Just like a person, you have your own personal relationship, or your own self, and then you have how you relate to other people. Or if you want to be megala something to another person. So milui, many biyurim, but one of the biyurim is that's the gilui of something. That's why many places it's called the tool there. What comes out from the Shem itself. So Shem Havaya, the letter Hey and the letter Vov, there's different ways how you could write the milui. So Hey, for instance, the Tzemach Tzedek brings the famous thing that Hey, you could write Hey Yud. Hey, you could write Hey Aleph. Or Hey, you could write Hey Hey. And Vov also. Vov, you could write Vov Yud Vov. Or Vov Aleph Vov. Vov Vov. Different ways how you could write the letters. According to the combination of how you write it, you would come out to different gematriyos. So it's known, b'milu yud. So everything you make yud. Yud vav dal is yud. Hey yud. Vov yud vov. And then the last hey yud. That adds up to 72 Shem Ab. So the Rebbe says in this week, and there's a lot of biyurim. There's in the Maimonides from the Tzemach Tzedek, there's a very long, if you look up in the Teda in Yonim, he has pages and pages of explaining the miluyim. And basically we all know that there's 4 types of miluyim. There's Ab, 72, there's Sag, 63, it's called Samach Gimel, 63, adds up to this, where over there, only the Vav changes. Instead of a Yud, you write an Aleph. So it's 9 less than Ab. So it's 9 less than 72. You get to 63. And then you have Shema. Shema is called Milui Alfen. Everything is Aleph. So Yud, over there, Yud, you can't change. Yud Vav Dal is by saying by everything. But then you have Hey Aleph, Vav Aleph, Vav, and then Hey Aleph adds up to Shema. So Shema, Gematria Odom. We say it in Pasuk Layo every Friday, Yud K. You see how it's spelled out over there. Everything is the Milui Aleph. And then we have what's called Shem Ban 52. And over there it's just the letters itself, Yud Vav Dalet, but then you have Hey Hey, Vav Vav Hey Hey. And the Rebbe says in this week, so just in short, to explain it in Gashmis, every single person, it says the 4 letters of Shem Havaya, correspond to 4 ways how a person relates to Hashem. It's like a ladder. The Yud symbolizes a person's amunah, your faith, called Chochmah. Like the Rebbe says in Tanya Perikut Ches, in the Agor Lamed Hey in Tanya. So Yud shows on the etzem of a Yid, the pintel of Yid. That's the amunah to hoide that a person, a Yid, has at the Eibishter, and that's why that's the Milu Yud. So it goes on Chochmah. So Ab 72 goes on Chochmah, shows the highest level of the Neshama, which is the Amunah of a Yid. Then you have Sag, goes on the Seichel of a person, called Bina. How you understand the Eibishter. There's a mitzvah of Das, L'kevich, you should learn, L'hovinu L'haskil, Havone V'asoge. Your Seichel, that is Shem Sag. Shema is called Zo, which means your midas, your feelings, your emotions, the 6 midas of a person. And then you have what's called Ban, is what's called Malchus Maise B'Poyo. So you can have a Yid. Now every Yid has a Munah. Every Yid B'etzem has that Pintel Yid. And that's why it's interesting. The Rebbe's father writes in one place, he said that's why the Yud will always be the same by all the Shemos. Every level, the Yud Vav Dalet, that doesn't change, because that shows that the Neshama of a Yid, the Etzem, everyone has. Nothing in the world can erase, can damage that Etzem Pintele, the Pnimis of a Yid. Every Yid has a Neshama. That's pure. Neshama Shnesati be Tohoidehi. That's always Torah, nothing will happen. And that corresponds to the 4 elements. Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, Asiyah. Atzilus is Bechlolos Chochmah. Bria is Seichel. Yitzir is the Midas, the feelings that Rebbe says in Tanya, Periklam, Tes Bariches. And then you have Oilam Asiyah is the Maise B'Poyo. So you can have a Yid who comes to Shul, Nechabaras, and you can have a few types of Yidden. So everyone has a Neshama. But one Yid doesn't even know what Tefillin is. Doesn't even have a feeling to it. But the rabbi asks him, oh, what do you want to put on tefillin? No problem, put on tefillin. He doesn't understand what tefillin is. So he connected to the Eibush to Maisa B'Poyo. That's Takadiki, because of Maisa Uike. Then you have a Yid who's a higher level, that he also connects the Eibush to Mitzad's Midas, Mitzad's feelings. That's Shema. And then you have a Yid who also connects to the Eibush there with his Seichel. That's, he reached up to Shem Sag. And the highest level is, it says a Chassidus, if the Neshama leicht, if the Shema permeates the whole guf, then it affects the Seichel, the Midas, and everything. So there's all different types of levels, and that's where you have the 4 different Shemois. So this is just bringing down in Oisis Chassidus or in Avodas Hashem what these 4 Shemois are. Ab, Sag, Maban. So this is what the Rebbe's father explained. This Yid asked the pshat in the Medrash. Mash Moshe LaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like, how does the Eibishter reveal himself to the world? And he answered him, Rachmona liba boy. Rachmona liba boy is Rosh Tevis, Reish Lamed Beis. Rachmona liba boy, 232. If you take all these names, Ab, Sag, Maban, 72, 63, 45, 52, you will get to 232. So that's the first thing he answered him. Mash Moshe LaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the name of the Eibishter? He answered him, what? He played it's a Medrash Pliya. Rachmana liba boy. The Rosh Tevis Rachmana liba boy said that it has 4 names over there. Ab, Sag, Maban. So then he asked him a very famous question. And this question that we have in the Lakutei Sichos in the back, I forget which krach it is. That if you look by all the names, Ab, so ayin is 70, and then you have the base, ayin base. So the larger number, the greater number is first, and then the smaller number is second. Sag is also Samach Gimel, 63. The larger number, the greater number is first, and the smaller number is second. You call it, you don't say Gas, Gimel, Samach, you say Sag. Same thing as Ma, Mem Hey, 45. But by Ban, it changes. By Ban, instead of saying Nun Beis Nav, the larger letter first and then the smaller letter second, here it's hofuch, it's turned around, the opposite. This is the second question he asked him. He said, oh, you answered me, Reish Lamed Beis, Rachmana liba boy, Rosh Tevis, all the 4 names, Ab, Sag, Maban, verstehe ich. But then he asked him, kulam zdurois, how come all of them are in order? Vizu, and this one is afucha. This ban is, how come the smaller letter is first, the base, and then comes the nun, the larger letter, the greater letter. So he answered them, Mipnei shechesomai shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emes. This is a famous thing that emes, in mispar koton, as we call it, if you add the letters together, Aleph is 1, Mem is 40, Tov is 400, 441. If you add the numbers together, 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. So it says in many, many Svarim that 9 is an emes number. 9 is different than any other number. And the reason is because as many times as you will multiply 9, as is known, and you will add the numbers together, you will always get back to its shoydish. The dugmem, 2 times 9 is 18, 1 and 8 is 9. 3 times 27, 2, 7, 36. Keep on multiplying. Take 10 times 9, 180. 1 and 8, 9. 11 times 9 is 189. So if you add up that numbers together, 1 and 8 is 9. Plus 9 is 18. Keep on adding together till you get to 1 digit. Always 9. But I take 5 little mushal. 5 times 5 is 25. 2 and 5 is 7. I don't get to 5. So by all the other numbers, when you multiply the numbers, it goes away from its shaydish. By 9, it shows that it constantly, you never leave the source. You're always connected to your source, which is 9. So it says in Svarim that 9 symbolizes everything comes from the Eibishter. Emes is 9 because nothing is separate from the Eibishter, just looks that way. So all of the numbers are like conceals it. But 9 shows you, it's Alam Moldod, it's Al Beshoidish, we're always connected to where we come from. And that's why it symbolizes by 9. And that's why the Rebbe's father explained, all these names add up to 9. 72, 72 is 9. Sag, Samach Gimel, 63 is 9. Ma, Mem Hey, 45 is 9. But here's the beautiful answer. By Ban, here we come to a problem. If we would call it the greater number first and then the smaller number second, so we'd say Nav, 52. 52 is only 7. But if I change it around and I make Ban, Then I have now an interesting thing. So it's known that the Aleph Beis does not finish Tov. Everyone knows it's 400, but it doesn't finish by 400 because the letters that are called Oisius Hasoifis, the final letters were called Mansapach, final Mem, final Nun, final Chof, final Tzaddik, final Pei. They go into the 100 bracket. So Aleph bis Yud is the 1 bracket. From Yud till Kuf is the 10 bracket. From Kuf and onwards is the 100 bracket. Kuf till Tov is 400. But then, if you go into say the Aleph Beis, Chof is 500. Then comes Mem, final Mem is 600. And final Nun is 700. And Tzaddik is, Pei is 800. Tzaddik is 900. Then it goes to, some say Tov, or Aleph goes back, Elef, that's where you get, Elef means 1,000. Anyways, so here's what the Rebbe's father explained. Once I change over to Ban, now I have a Nun Soifis. A Nun Soifis is 700. So now you have 702. 7 and 2 is 9. So that's why, since Chisomoy Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Emes, since the signature of the Eibush is Emes, so you have to have the Emes of 9, of Emes in every single name, because ultimately it all comes from the Eibush. And that's why Absag Mag has it. I change over Ban in order to make to the number 9 of Emes. So with this, I want to share with you that when the Rebbe's chasna, when the Rebbe got married, Tov Resh Peites Yudalet Kislev. So it's a mighty dick letter that the Rebbe's father wrote to the Rebbe. And the truth is, if you want to learn it and explain it, it take hours and hours, because every 2 lines is not ha'inyan. And it's so interesting that if you look at the Reshime from the Chasne, that this famous Chosed wrote, Rabbi Chaim Altuis, who was the Rebbe's Shoime, and he writes there that he was with the Rebbe, a Chosen can't be alone, and he quotes a little bit from that letter, and he says he saw that, so just shows you interesting thing that the Rebbe didn't hide it. He saw it, maybe it was on the table, whatever it should be, but he says he read it, and he saw this in Yoni Kabbalah there. Now, we didn't see that letter till the Rebbe printed the Igris. So for that, I just want to share with you a few interesting things. The Svarim that we have from the Rebbe's father, we have 5 krochim. Two krochim are on the Zohar, the Chlolos and the Parshis. The first krach is Bereshis, and the second krach is Shmois Dvorim. And this is what the Rebbe's father wrote on the side and the margins of the pages, as we all know. Rebbe Tzanchana, today's Kala, made the ink when they were in Siberia, and this is what they had. I once heard from Rabbi Munschein that he once heard from the Rebbe's of Abringen, that the Rebbe said, the tiefstes Chidushim from Taten, the greatest Chidushim from his father, he wrote when he was in the worst matziv, and the Rebbe used then the Loshen of Abringen, Zayis, Kitcher Koitchenoi, Soy Mitzashamnoi, that when you squeeze an olive, that's when the oil comes out. And the Rebbe wanted to say the worst time that his father was in the most difficult matziv, his greatest Chidushim in Torah came out. And the Rebbe said then, and from alle Sachen, everything else was lost, or everything of a tremendous amount, but from this was saved. So anyways, we don't understand all the Rebbe's Sachen, a lot of himmlische Sachen. I'm just going to tell you a few interesting things. That when the Rebbe's mother came out of Russia, of course, she didn't want to take she left not under the name Sneerson, and she was very scared to take the Svarim, and she left it in Moscow. The Rebbe knew about it, and he worked behind the scenes for many, many years to get it, until finally, in 1960, Tovshin Chov, Chodesh Teves, the Svarim and the Zohar came. Then there's another volume which is called Chidushim, that the Rebbe's father wrote in Yonim on Shas. Then we have a very small krach, the Biyurim that he wrote on Tanya, the margins of the pages. And by the way, I will tell you that there's a handful, very nice handful of Biyurim on Tanya that is in the other Svarim. And I told this many times to Kahos, it will be kedai to gather, put everything together. It's Meredike Chidushim. In the volume 1, by the way, of Yalkut Lוי-יצחק על התורה, we have on the pasuk Vayipach ba'apel nishmas Chaim, and you know the Rebbe's father is the only one who gives a biur. Why in Tanya, in Perek Beis, it says Hu Hamada Hu Hayedeya, and Perek Daled it says Hu Hayedeya Hu Hamada. Why does it change the order? And no one has everyone is the Rebbe's father gives a very, very geschmack biur. Chilik in Perek Beis talks about the Shomas Yisrael, in Perek Dal talks about Mile of Torah, and he says, if you read you look over there, the biur, gerade this thing I sat with Rabbi Yael a long time. We worked on it, this particular piece, to prepare it with Daf zu sein, because it's beteicha against, I wouldn't say pilpul, but against a tifini for the Rebbe's father in a letter to the Rebbe, in a reshima to the Rebbe, and we just took out that piece. But the Rebbe's father has this nukuda when you come to when you talk about Yidin, the word Mada comes first before Hu Yedeya. When you talk about Torah, Hu Yedeya comes before Mada. Anyways, but a lot of this biur is not in the Order Santanya. It's in the Reshima. And then you have the last thing is the Igris that came out. So before I go further, I just want to share with you that we don't know why, but the Rebbe's, even though the Rebbe got the Svarim in Tovshin Chof and Zoyar, and the years later, I'm not going to go into all the details, he got the other Svarim, didn't all come in 1960, but it started to come. But the bottom line is, the Rebbe did not start to print his father's Svarim until 25 years after the Histalkus of the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe's father was Histalik in Tovshin Dalit, and Tovshin Chovtes Chovov, all of a sudden the Rebbe gave the green light. And not only did he give the green light, but then he pushed Tazeh, when the Rebbe wants something, and lost it up. And they worked overtime, the tremendous amount to talk about this. And finally, in Tovshin Lamed Gimel, the end of Lamed Beis, Lamed Gimel, it came out. And that's why you'll see a very interesting thing. It's printed now. You can look up at Teres Machs Vaduyis. When Tovshin Lamed Gimel, by the yard site, after all the Svarim was printed, the Rebbe says they are sicher, a very dicke sicher, in the first sicher of that Fabrengen. You should read it, and the Rebbe says there that every time there's the yard site from his father, there's Naliyah Shebein Areich. And anyone who would learn the Torah of his father, Befrat, on a day of a yard site, it will also elevate him an Aliyah Shebein Areich. Very, very merdike verte in that sicher. Anyway, so going back to before concerning the chasna of the Rebbe, and today is the Rebbe's father's chasna, so we'll share with you behemshich to what we said before about ban. If I have time, I'll share with you just two interesting things once we have this ab and ban. Anyway, Chaim. So the Rebbe's father writes to the Rebbe, when did the Rebbe get married? The date the Rebbe got married was Yud Dalet Kislev. And that letter, by the way, just in a nutshell, was mamish, you see, the shita from the Rebbe was taken from his father, the way the Mahalach. Because in that letter over there, the Rebbe's father combines everything is Ashgacha Pratis. So he writes to the Rebbe, you're getting married in Pashas Vayetze. The Ufra was from Pashas Vayetze. Then you Chodesh Kislev. It's on a Tuesday, Yom Gimel Shuchel Bekitoy. And it's Yom Yudalet. And he combines and he shows that all these pratim lead to one Nakuda. And the Nakuda is, by the way, that there's Olam HaToyu and there's Olam HaTikun. Olam HaTikun means that this zivug will bring the world to its ultimate tikkun, which means it will bring the world to its perfection and to be some Mashiach. That's the kudus of that whole letter. So the Rebbe's father writes a very interesting thing. What's so special about Yud Dalet? And why does it show on tikkun? Which means that over there is Gilei Elokus. So the Rebbe's father writes to the Rebbe that, the Gemara says in Shabbos that what's the shiur of a Reshus HaYochid? The shiur of a Reshus HaYochid is if you have Dalet Tvochim, Beroichav, in the width is 4 Tvochim, and it goes up 10 Tvochim. So any Reshus that has 4 Tvochim by 10 Tvochim is considered already a Reshus HaYochid. So the Rebbe's father says a very interesting thing. He says, if you take the Shem Ab comes out like this. Like I said before, you have the source of the name, like then you have how it comes Begilui. So Yud Kei Vav Kei has 4 letters in the Eibish's name. And then, if you're going to count all the letters of the Milui, so Yud is 3, Hey Yud is 2, so we have 5 already. Vav Yud Vav, another 3 is 8, and the end of it is a Hey Yud again, so it's 10. So the Shem itself is Dalet. The Milui from Shem Ab, which shows on Chochmah, shows on the Gilei Elokus, that's Reshus HaYochid. That, like the Rebbe says in Tani Perek Lamed Gimel, Reshus HaYochid shows on the Gilui of the Eibishter. As we'll speak another interesting thing I want to share with you about Eidov. What's Eidov all about? So Reshus HaYochid is symbolized with the number Yud Dalet. And then he just writes to him that we're coming now, there's a Korban Oimer, which has to Michael Behema, which shows on the world, the beat of the oil, that you have to elevate the world. Over there, the Gemara says, that it was processed Yud Gimel times 13. So he said it's one less from this Yud Dalet, because it's still Maisa Behema. It's still, we have to elevate it. And he writes that if you take Shemban, which shows on the lowest level, which over there, Elokus is Behelim. I'm not going to go into Barichas. If you look at my Svarim, has the whole bio, why it take a lot of time. I see we're almost finished over here. So it won't take the time to explain why Shemban. And over there, if you look, it has 4 letters, the Shem, and 9 letters is the Milui. And 4 and 9 is 13. And he wants to bring out the Chiluk over there. He writes in that, you can look it up. The Chiluk of 14 shows on Reshus HaYochid. That shows Olam HaTikun. The number Yud Gimel shows on not yet. That's still the Bitter Olam. And that's why he writes Haman, for instance. When did he want to kill out the Yidden? Yud Gimel Oder. And he brings another beautiful thing. The Gemara, the Pasuk says, Oig Melech HaBoshon, who fought against Avram Avinu. And here you see how every mispot in Torah is so exact. And it says in Chumash that his bed, Hini Arshoi, it says over here in Pasuk that it was 4 by 9. This is what it says by the meter from Oig Melech HaBoshon. Oh, Hini Arshoi Eres Barzel, Teisha Ames Orko, 9 by 4. 9 by 4 is 13. It's exactly Shemban shows on Helam. Shemab shows on Gilei Elokus. Now with this, I just want to finalize. B'ez Hashem, a new sefer is coming out very shortly. Pashas B'Shalach, Yisroi Mishpotim. We're up to Mamish, just finishing up the Mafteches. And we hope, B'ez Hashem, I was by the oil this morning, and we asked the bracha for it, that it should come out, B'ez Hashem, short. So one of the things that we have in the beard over there is the Rebbe's father explains what Eidiv is all about. And one of the beautiful things about the Rebbe's father is that he showed how every word in Torah is so emes that in the letters that Torah picked for a certain word, it's not random. It's not like English. Everything has a toichen. Everything has a biur. So he explains what's the meaning of an Eidiv. So he says what we said before. There is a Reshus HaYochid and then there is a Reshus HaRab. Shus HaYochid shows Yechida Shel Olam, there's one owner, and the Eibishter is the owner of the world. So where you have a Gilei Elokus, and the whole world, you see the way the Eibishter is Yechida Shel Olam, that's what Shus HaYochid. So that symbolizes Kedusha. Rishus HaRabim, Turi de Prude, that Rebbe says in Tanya, that shows, and this is a Olam HaToyu, this is a Ribui, it's not Achdus. And that is Shus HaRabim. When you make an aid of what's Pshat, you want to combine, you want to extend the Rishus HaYochid and be Mevare the Olam. In other words, take part of Rishus HaRabim and combine it and connect it to Rishus HaYochid. If you look up at Kutas Sichas B'Shalach, Chelik Yud Aleph, the Rebbe talks about this also. So the Rebbe's father just says a very interesting thing. With this I will conclude. And maybe I'll share with you one last story after that. That Eruv has these letters. If you look, Ale, Ayin, and Beis is the first and the last. And we said that's Shem Ab, showing on the Gilei Elokus. And then in the middle you have three letters, Yud, Reish, Vov, Eruv. Reish, Yud, Vov, 216 adds up to Gevura. We know that it says in Tanya, in Shayichet Vamuna, we have Gilei Elokus, which is B'chol Chesed, and that's why Ab, by the way, adds up to Chesed also. It's connected, the Chochmah and Chesed all connected. That shows on this Gilei Elokus, Hashpor from the Eibishter Chesed, Cho Hashem Agdula. We have Gevura, that shows on Shem Elikim, that shows on Helen Vehester. So look how beautiful the Rebbe's father explains how the letters of Eruv symbolize what you want to do over here. You want to connect and you want to combine what Rishus HaRabim, which was symbolizing the letters Reish, Yud, Vov, Gevura, which is outside of Kedusha, and you want to bring it in, you want to connect it, you want to mix it up, you want to connect it to Kedusha, and that's why Eruv also means from the Lashon mixing, like Taruvis, which means you're taking Rishus HaYochid and you want to combine it with Rishus HaRabim. You're making over here a hemshech and you're bringing it in. What doesn't belong, you're elevating it into Rishus HaYochid. But then the Rebbe's father finishes this beautiful thing. Tafke, the Seder of the Oisi is also fit, because outside letters are Ab, and they are, so to say, the beginning and end. The inside is Gevura, Reish, Yud, Vov, Yud, Reish, Vov, Gevura, adds up to Gevura, showing that the Rishus HaYochid, that is what dominates, that is what covering everything, and it brings in, it gets included in what's outside. So the inside gets included. So even the Seder of the Oisius is Muchur. I'm just going to finish up with this one beautiful story that I heard also lately. And it was Chayim, this Ameridike Sipur. I heard this from Rafitche Nemenov, who's the Mashpia in Old Teda. He told me he heard from his grandfather, the Nissen, that he also once had to collect money for Tomchat Mimim, and he actually stayed in the house of the Rebbe's father, and this was before Pei Dalet, somewhere, because the Rebbe was still in the house, and he stayed there, and that's the first time he met the Rebbe. And so the Rebbe's father asked him, like he said, "Vos lernen the Bochrim?" And he wanted to ask him about Chassidus. Which Chassidus do they learn? So he answered that they learn Reshimis, means that they learn the Maimona from the Rabbeim, or from the it's not printed, but the Maimona from the Frierdiker Rebbe, or from the Rebbe Rashab is all kopiert, as they say. They learn Reshimis. So the Rebbe's father answered these words. And by the way, here you see how the Rebbe had such a koch. There's no doubt that it was also taken from the Rebbe's father. So the Rebbe's father answered him these words: "Das ist gut, aber man darf sehen, und man darf lernen, Lekutei Teda und Teda. Weil alles ist dort, und man sieht, this is what he said, as alle Maimonic Chassidus is gebuit of them." This was the lashon that the Rebbe's father used. Rab Nissen was Messiah. That a very interesting thing. That then they made a fundraiser, You have to go collect money for the yeshivas. And he asked the Rebbe, within a bocha, Pegimel Pedalad, if you would be masking to come with me to help the people in the town to fundraise for me. So the Rebbe answered him that he can't go personally, but he's masking to write a letter for him to I'm sure if it was to a specific gvir or to a general letter that to help to support Reb Nissen Tomka Tmimim. But the Rebbe's brother, Reb Leibel, was masking to go, and Reb Nissen finished off that the letter from the Rebbe, I think it was to one particular gvir. He said, what I got from that gvir was much more than I got from everything that with all the droshes that Reb Leibel gave. He says the one letter from the Rebbe, even though he didn't go personally, of course, but the Rebbe doesn't negate, but the letter accomplished more than everything else. I just want to be Messiah. The last thing that Reb Nissen told his grandson, and I told his recently to Leib Shapiro, he thought this was a tickle pella by him, and he said that by uns in Pei Dalet hat man schon gewusst as das is the chosn. Already in Pei Dalet, he says these were close in the family. They knew already, even though officially the Rebbe didn't come a chosn then. But said mitchem miram schon gewusst that the Rebbe is the chosn. So I just want to bring say l'chaim. There's no doubt that what we did now, there's a lot more to talk about. I want to speak a lot more about oime shter lechem, but I see the time is running out. We can verbringen a sach shoyesen, and there's no, like I said before, there's no doubt that this day, and it's a pull on them sheches. There's nothing that by a chasene, befrat as a chasene, which they were zoiche to be the father and the mother from our Rebbe. Umamela, we know how close that is to us. That this is, there's no question that day, tremendous amount of ashpoyes came. So I want to just wish that everyone on this phone call or whoever will listen to it, should only bring a stronger skashes to the Rebbe. And was also gezegd met de Rebbe,